Hey everyone, Corbs here. Welcome to another beginner guide video, the second video in the series. And this time we're going to talk about champions. And champions, of course, they are a big part, the most important part of our game here, Raid Shadow Legends. So there's a lot of stuff to talk about champions, so I'm going to try to keep this as basic as possible. I will probably go over some aspects of champions a bit too quickly, but that's on purpose, just to keep this guide as basic as possible. So let's dive in by going to the champions menu. At the bottom row you can see the icon next to the battle icon, the champions icon. If we press this icon, we are brought to the champions overview screen. On the left you can see all the champions that you own. Of course there can be duplicates in here. You can order them by using the combo box on top. You can select a sort order here. You can also display this in a full grid, and next to that, so I'm talking about the top row here, you have this little icon, this helmet icon with, in my case, 97 out of 100, and that is the total amount of heroes you have. So in stock, the maximum amount of heroes that you can put in here is 100. So the amount of slots that you can have is 100. You can't expand this any further. I think you start with 30 slots or something, and you can expand this with silver. You also have the champion vault at the bottom left. You can see I have 9 out of 10. This is basically a separate store with also a maximum of 100 currently. And these champions you can store here, but they cannot participate in battles. So I have some duplicate heroes here, some duplicate champions that I might want to use in the future, but I just want to not have them filling up my roster currently. So I have them here in the vault, and the vault is still basically at 10 slots. So the basic layout, I haven't expanded on this yet. So in total you can stock up 200 champions here. So when you select the champion, his name appears at the top. As you can see, this is Gallic, level 50. We'll talk about levels and the stars a bit more later on. Also the element is next to the name. We'll talk about that later on as well. And then on the top left, this banner you can see here, this is the orc this is a champion from the orcs faction, and all factions, they have a different banner. As you can see, this is one of the lizard men. And then on the top right you can see the rarity of the champion. So there are several rarity tiers. The gray border, they're the common heroes, green uncommon, blue rare, then the purple, these are the epic champions, like this Gizo currently is. It's on the screen, it's an epic champion. And then the golden border, these are the legendary champions, and I cannot show you these currently because I do not own any yet, so these are super rare. So you can see the rarity in the colored text, top right, so the right of the character model. Then you can see the type of character of champion. So this is a defense type. Then there's information about the sets, power, that's all quite advanced already. And then to the right you can see several menus. This is the artifact views, you can see the equipment, and also at the bottom you can see the statistics of the champion. We'll go into these in a bit more detail later on in this video. If we press skills, you can see the skills. We'll also cover this in a minute. And then masteries, I'm not going to cover this in this basic video. This deserves a video on its own. Also about artifacts, it's also going to be probably going to be a separate video, more advanced video on this, but I will basically touch the base of this basic knowledge of these artifacts in this video. So I've been talking about the different element types. So Gizo, you can see next to the left of its name, he has this green lightning bolt symbol. That means that he is a spirit champion. What else is, you can see on the heroes I have on the left, the top row, these are all by coincidence different elements. So Gizo is the spirit with green, then blue, this kind of blue flame, this is the magic champions, and then the red, loading while I'm recording a video, character model, loading of the character models always takes quite a while. So blue, these are the magic champions, and then the red skull symbol. This is the force type of element, and there's a fourth type of element that you can see if I scroll down a bit. There's this purple triangle here, for example. This purple triangle, this is the void element. Now, why is this important? This is something that you cannot see on the screen. For this information to be displayed, we have to go to any battle. Let's say it's just a random campaign battle, just start a battle, or fight in the arena, or that matter. So everywhere you can see above the big versus text, there's this little triangle with elements on there. I will try to magnify this a bit in the video if that's possible. So here you can see that the red, so the force element, is strong against magic, so the blue, but is weak against spirit. That means that it does almost double the damage against the magic power, the magic element. But on the other hand, if a magic champion fights a red, so a force champion, he will not deal that many damage. So for example, on the right you can see my current enemies. These are 2 blues and 2 greens. So if I really want to maximize my damage output, I am probably going with 2 force, so red element champions, and a blue one, for example, so the magic element. So blue against blue, for example, just deals equal damage. There's no bonus or penalty or whatever. And then also with the void element, so the purple one is outside of this, inside this triangle. There are no arrows here, so this is considered to be a bit stronger than all the other elements. So that's all about elements. So as you can see, this is also information that you can see on a character portrait in the corner. I'm going back to campaign because I'm so used to it. So let's go back to the champions menu. So we covered elements. So basically there's a lot of information also already in the character portrait. So you can see the number of stars, you can see his level, you can see his element, you can see its rarity of the champion, and then sometimes there's this little shield also in the top right corner of the portrait, and this is an aura, but we'll talk about that in a minute when we talk about skills. So let's briefly talk about the different types. So this is an attack type champion, this Gallic. This means that this basically has to do with his skills and the statistics that these skills are based on. So this champion will be type of fighter. He will be at the front line of your group. He will be dealing damage. On the other hand, we have the defensive type, which I have one here. And also, what I didn't say, these stats are based on attack statistic and also the skills. They will be oriented around this attack skill. So the more attack stats that the type of attack champion has, the more damage he will do. And the same goes for Jizo. Here is a defense type champion. He will have some skills that will, for example, can shield himself, can shield others, that type of skill. And also the more defense stat that he has, the better these skills become. But we'll have a closer look at the skills later on in this video. Then there are 2 other types of champions. I have to briefly take a look if I have one here. Yes, the next one is the support type. Again, this can be a bit of a mix of healing. Most of the time this is healing, and also shielding, stuff like that, but also damage. So this is a bit of a mixed type. And then there's the HP type, of which I don't think I have one right away that I can show you, but this is a 4th type of champion. They are characterized by just having a lot of health points, and they fill in the role, if you're familiar, as a tank. So they will try to draw damage to them take damage instead of the others, and it will fill in the tank role. So let's briefly talk about the stats that you can see at the bottom right. If you press the eye icon, you see the brief information about the stats. This can be a bit overwhelming at first if you're new to this type of game, but there are some things to keep in mind, but it's not that difficult. So HP, health points, so the more HP you have, the more health an enemy has, so the longer it takes for him to die. Then attack is how much damage he can do, so higher attack is more damage. Defense is how much damage one strike from the enemy does. So higher defense means that a strike from an enemy will do less damage. Then speed, this is going to be talked about in more detail when I talk about combat in one of the next videos. The more speed you have, the faster the turn meter of a champion will fill, and he will be moving ahead of others with a lower speed. Then critical rate, just how much chance there is to perform a critical strike. A critical strike is simply an attack that does more damage. Then critical damage, if you have a critical rate, have a critical strike, then the damage that this critical strike does is increased by a number defined here. Then there are two other stats that are a bit less important. Resist, so you can get a debuff, which means a bad spell, something that weakens your champion, and you can resist this debuff by having a large resist statistic. And then debuff accuracy, this means that if you are debuffing an enemy, how successful this is. Then we will briefly go about the skills, and also something that I forgot to mention is that the rarity of the champion. For example, this is a rare champion. Oh, this is an epic champion, but she has 3 skills, which is a bit uncommon, because as you can see, that was why I was a bit confused. Most epic champions, they have 4 skills, with one being locked here. Another epic champion, 3, so 3 or 4, but anyway, if you go down to some of these uncommon heroes, for example, 2 skills, and even the common ones, if I would go down entirely, go to the common, you will see that they probably have most of the time they have only 1 skill. So in general, but this is not always true, as you can see, the rarer the champion, the more different skills he or she has. So skills, this too much to cover in this video. Basically, this is every action, different type of action that an enemy champion can do. Most of the time there will be 1 basic attack. That will be the first action, and it will be a spell that you can cast every turn. And then there are other skills that you can cast, in this case every 4 turns, every 6 turns, which are more powerful, and almost all are unique to a champion. Then there are also these auras, which I told you about. The character portrait, at the top right of the character portrait, has this symbol, and an aura is basically a bonus that your other champions will get if this champion is the leader. And then there are also passives. I have to look for this, I think I saw it somewhere here. Passive skills. So this one, but this is still locked. We'll talk about stars and levels in the next video in more detail. So this is basically passive. This is a skill that is always turned on. You don't have to activate this. So this is also a 3rd type of skills. So just instant skills, instant with a cooldown. Then you have the auras, and then the passive skills. So that's all for this video. In the next video there's plenty of more to talk about the champions, so we'll cover leveling up, ranking up, we'll cover that there. We'll also visit the tavern to check what different actions you can do there, and also maybe already briefly talk about the masteries. We can cover that also here. So that will be something for our next video. Please press press the like button if you like this video. It really helps out the channel. Please consider subscribing if you haven't done so already. I hope you have a great rest of the day and see you in next video. Bye.